what's a trend in design specifically that maybe you saw and you saw everyone kind of going that direction? You're like, I'm not doing this. This is not me. Like, what's an example of that in design for you?
Okay, well, like if there's a trend, it's like kind of like right away. If I see it in like 4 or 5 places, like I know right away I'm not gonna mess with that at all.
Okay.
And there are things like, I mean, I could name specific trends, but like if it's easy to do and easy to replicate, it's gonna be, I'm gonna completely avoid it because it won't be a thing that I can own. Do you know what I'm saying?
Wow, that's a
Like,
great way to put it.
like I sometimes I talk about ownability or like something that's proprietary to the look and feel about a brand. And if it's like really, really simple and let's say like people harp on flat illustration and I don't think of it as good or bad. It just seems like our direction to me. But because it doesn't really take a lot of time or it's not really like super labor intensive to make, then I think it can be replicated by a lot of other illustrators who are totally qualified and talented.
What's
And but
flat
that
illustration? Just to
good
clarify.
question, man. It's kind of an arbitrary term.
Is
It's
that
sort
like
of
the
a
comic
no.
book looking? Very
Like
okay.
we don't really have anything that looks like it around. I mean, it was picked up by kind of tech companies. It was like
Yeah.
this
That
really flat
generic,
one
that
color.
yes, that generic like persona of a
Yeah,
person with like very little
yeah. It's kind
details,
of
just like yeah.
yeah. And honestly, I don't look down on that style of illustration really or anything. It's not like a thing I want to lean into personally,
Sure.
um, but I just kind of noticed it. And like when something doesn't take a long time to make or people can easily figure out how to make it, then
Mm,
I think that's the thing that I'll probably like, my underlying principles will tell me to like avoid that. But it also goes down to like, I just want to know how things are made. Like I want to try to make something complex. And we kind of
mm,
live in the era of like really fast content marketing. Like,
yeah.
let me see if I can do a phrase or a saying or something really quick. And I've just tried to sort of avoid that, like, because I'm a quality over quantity person.
Yeah.
Now, I think you could probably grow a much bigger following if you're reusing assets or
Yeah.
reusing color palettes or with these things that might just be really easy to make something a lot quicker. These, ingredients, if you will.
Yeah.
Um, but I have just thought that every time I saw something simple or easy, then I should kind of try to avoid that. And then if I saw something very, very popular, I would also try to avoid that.
Mm,
But like, then there's like humor. Like, I don't know, just the time that I made my brand or even on me on Twitter is like, I just think it's more fun to have a good time,
yeah.
like that's all I care about is like, and I care about like mentoring students and helping and lift them up. There's obviously some philanthropic interest I have in the design community, but then there's like, really, I just want to have a good time. And I think a lot of like the era in which Chomp was sort of born out of was just a very serious era. Like
Yeah.
it was like people who like were dressing like they are farmers or some shit. And they like, and they have these phrases where they're like, explore more, like
Yeah.
get outside. And I was just like, fuck all these fake cowboys.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, it's fun. Authenticity is not a value to me, but it's just once something hit that critical mass, I was like, let's just make jokes. Let's just have a
Yes.
good time. Like I would rather, and I kind of grew up in the era of like, tongue in cheek, skate brands or surf brands. And they just had a lot of vibrance to them. And it was kind of punk to me. So I just was
Yeah.
never going to pretend to be a farmer.
For sure. No, I like that a lot. Did you grow up skating?
Yeah, I mean, I was like kind of a casual skater. I skated with all my friends and stuff, street skate. We didn't have all these parks and stuff. So,
Yeah.
and so, still skate now with my daughter and friends here and there, but I'm not super core skater. Like, you're not going to see me like tray flip down like a seventh stair, but I'll cruise the bowl with some friends and stuff.
Nice.
But
That's cool.
it's not, the art is really what's important to me, the art and the tone, it's like,
Mm,
not, I mean, if whatever you do it with passion, but like, for me, I just want to make fun stuff.
for sure. No, I like that. I mean, it has to be fun. That's a great way to put it. I also think like what you said was, I don't think I've heard anybody put it that way before, and I really like it. That's almost like a good mental note for creators and myself to even think about. Like, is this easy to replicate? And is there easy access to making it? And like, is it just going to be easy for other people to do this? And is it getting really popular really quickly? As like a few barometers of like, all right, is this worth me getting into it? Or will I just create more noise? And I'm just like jumping on a trend that'll be gone in a matter of months or a year or whatever, like very short term thinking. And just trying to think a little bit more long term about like what you want your full scope to look like of your career and your craft. I like that a lot. I guess I had never thought of the easily repeatable thing. Like somebody can just do it. And I think that, it goes across the board for illustration, but also any other creative endeavor. Like if there's a trend happening that's really easy to replicate, probably avoid that.
Yeah. I mean, it's like there's some steady, one to one, you could think of it in musical terms too. Like there's obviously there's rap that's easier to make. There's music that's easier to make. Like almost no kids like really know how to make music with an instrument anymore. They just know how to make digital stuff. And that's good because they can get their music out there a lot quicker. But arrangement and musical theory and all those things sort of like, I find myself like being drawn to a lot of that stuff. And it's kind of a lot, now it's sort of lacking in popular music altogether. And so like, I'll go back and listen to like, let's say like, the yacht rock, actually the Footloose guy, Kenny Loggins. I'll go back and listen to Kenny Loggins, and Kenny Loggins really understands arrangement. Like he understands like modulation, and he changes musical keys, and he knows how to play lead guitar. And like, there's something very interesting where he was making pop songs that were like difficult to play, and like, there probably still are some musicians that like exist, who are famous who can do stuff like that. But there probably was this era, I think, where maybe I'm just being nostalgic, where I was just like, these guys are just masters of like, of understanding instrumentation, arrangement, and accompaniment, and whatever other thing, So I am just a nerd on that stuff, the technical aspects, the sort of, foundational parts to making illustrations, or the foundational parts of making music.
For sure.
So that's what I'm always kind of like leaning into. But people like Bob Dylan, and Bob Dylan he plays like 4 chords.
Exactly.
That's
true.
To sing a melody.
Right. That's so true. Yeah. I think that, with the internet, it's like, it's really, it's like the best thing ever because it's democratized access to putting work out there. Like anybody can do basically, you can have your phone, or you can have like one MIDI controller and make awesome beats. You don't need a full band to do stuff like that anymore. But at the same time, that makes a lot of noise. You know what I mean? So because anyone can, everyone will. And so the real differentiator over time has to be either quality or uniqueness, or something that makes you kind of cut through the noise, because it is just like, it's the best thing ever that everyone can do it and anyone can do it, but it makes the competition way higher than probably generations before us, because now the whole thing comes down to, well, you're competing against hundreds of thousands of people versus 100, Yeah,
it's much more of a global scale. I think I'm glad I didn't have the pressure of the internet when I was like early on in my career. It was kind of nice to be able to make things without whether someone's going to like it or not. It was just like, do I like it, or does my boss like it, or do my mentors think what I'm making is good? And I thought that was kind of a better feedback loop for, whether you're making interesting stuff. I was thinking about like Post Malone was kind of like the SoundCloud artist who came out, who like seems to understand a lot about, how to play guitar and make music and that kind of thing. And so there definitely are really good things that are coming out of kind of the instant access to putting your music out there. But I do feel for the young creators who like feel this like need to like, I made it, so 100%. I need to put it on the internet, and so I need to like get likes and build a following and a brand. And I think there should be just really fun kind of incubation, exploratory process where you don't have the pressure whether people like you or not.
100%. No, it's huge. That seriously matters a lot. You can't find your voice if you're constantly concerned what everyone's thinking of you, and if they hate you or like you or whatever, like you don't
and there are mean people on the internet, man. There's a lot of jerks.
So, like, for sure.
It's like going to the gym for like one time and then having to like do a fitness competition. It's like, obviously you don't do that. Like you go work out, and you work out over time, and then hopefully you see results, Yeah. I'm not going to do any fitness competitions, that's for sure.
For sure. Me either. Not anytime soon.